Good evening. This evening I want to try for you guys McIvor. This is a 17-year-old blended Scotch whiskey. It is distilled and bottled in Scotland. Distilled, blended, bottled in Scotland. I never heard of it. It's 17-year-old. And I had seen it and I thought I would give it a try. I paid $45 for it. And I thought for a 17-year-old Scotch, even a blended, it's worth a try for that price. As we can see, I've pretty much completed that bottle. Little square old Johnny Walker style bottles. There's another brand out there, something Bar, John Bar or something that's in a bottle similar to this as well now I've seen for sale. Anyway, it's 40% alcohol by volume. And I've researched it and I don't find much on it on the internet. They do have a website, but it just doesn't yield much information about it. I'll read you the back of the bottle and the box. Well, I'll read you the back of the box. Let's do that because it's a little bit more. McIvor 17-year-old finest Scotch whiskey is distilled, blended, and bottled in Scotland. The art of blending a good Scotch whiskey is the bringing together of malt and grain whiskies and then returning them to oak casks to allow the single whiskies to become one, generally over a marrying period of months. Uniquely to McIvor 17, the single whiskies were blended at date of distillation. This 17 years of marrying gives McIvor 17 an unparalleled smoothness and an exceptional character. And it's Glasgow Partners Limited, Glasgow, Scotland, and they got the name of the website on the bottom of the bottle, bottom of the box, and the bottle I believe as well. Yes, they listed on this one as well. And the back of the bottle mirrors the box. In fact, the box has just a little bit more description. Now, unless they're running two stills at the same time, one's running malt whiskey, one's running grain whiskey, I don't see how they're blending them on the date of distillation if they're blending them both at the same. That doesn't make sense. Now, if they're blending one, they're bringing one in and they're distilling the other at the same time, yes, but I don't think many distilleries run quite like that. Now, I'm not going to comment any further than that because it just seems unusual to me. I think probably they distilled in two different places. They're brought together in the raw form outside of the cask, maybe tanker truck brought in, so on and so forth. But I don't know for sure, so my comments to that or my thoughts to that are my own. Anyway, that being said, it's 17 years and it's interesting. I won't track water with this because I've tried it with water. I've tried it several different ways. Let's get on with the tasting here. Holy smokes, I'm sloshing it, guys. I'll live with it. Apples, apple vanilla, orange zest. That's your three major components you're getting there. It's not got an overly complex nose. It's been open about 7 months. I've not noticed any change in the texture or anything that goes along with it. My God, I made a mess. Excuse me. I'm going to refer to my notes a little bit because that's kind of throwing me off my game a little bit. That's exactly what I got. And a whiff of smoke. Yeah, there's just a little faint smokiness in it. Don't know where that, there's not enough information, so I don't know what's in there. I can tell you by the nose and by the flavor that this is probably a very large percentage of grain alcohol and probably a much lower percentage of malt. That's my gut feeling on it. That's what I take away from it. I don't know if it's colored or not. 17 years, given in medium amber like it has, that's possible in the cask. It does have fairly fast, thin legs. It's not very viscous in the oiliness. I mean, it's there, but it's not like you'd see in others. Yeah, that's pretty much the nose on it. It's not got an overly complex nose. It's pretty simple. Again, apples and vanilla. Those two come through in spades. A little pepper on, a little spicy black pepper with it. It's done. It's finished. It has a little bit of an acetone on the palate. Didn't really smell it too much in the nose, but on the palate it brings the acetone in it. It kind of finishes just slightly bitter. It's not a bad bitter. But it is slightly bitter at the finish. Other than that, overall, it's not a bad Scotch for blended Scotch. What I've done with it, I've made Rob Roy's out of it. Sweet vermouth, a little bit of Angostura bitters, and a Marciano cherry, and it makes a heck of a Rob Roy. The caveat to that is I can buy a $25 bottle of blended. That makes a heck of a Rob Roy. I'm not sure the $20 more, this is giving me any more in a Rob Roy than that. And this is not something I want to sample or drink and sipping all the time. So everybody that's interested or thinks they would like to try this, I encourage you to do so because everybody's palate's different. You might find this more in line with your palate than I do with mine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why we have all those distilleries, because nobody's palate's exactly the same. And all those distilleries and blenders, they all produce something a little bit different. Excuse me. And each thing they produce different is appeals to a certain group of people. And this one does not particularly appeal to me. I'm sure there's a group out there that it would. And you $45, you're talking more expensive than the Great King Street. And the Great King Street, or Great King Street to me is, I find a lot better blend than this. Myself, it's more flavorful, much more complex. You know, it is what it is. And I know some people hate that statement, but I don't care. It's a factual statement. In this case, it is what it is. It's nothing more than what it's going to be. And that being said, you know, it's not horrible. It's just not something I'm interested in. All right, enough about that. I'll get off and sign off on here. Oh, I better show you a score on it before I sign off. I almost failed last time at doing that. I'll move this out of the way. And I gave her, listen to me. I gave it 72 out of 100. It's a quality mixer. If you want a good old Scotch mixer, it'll work well for that. I think that's probably what it's for, more than likely. Take from this video what you can, and with that, I'll sign off. And everybody, have a good night. Remember, the spirit in your glass is not running from you. Take your time, sip, and enjoy. Good night.